Much like other recent fires, such as Paradise, California, there have been several anomalies involving the recent fires in Maui. In the middle of an area untouched by fire, a random car with melted glass and melted aluminum alloy wheels and NORAD-tracked CCP satellites directly above all three fires at the time of ignition. Many people are saying it's directed energy weapons, and we are not getting any answers from our criminal government. The people of Lahaina have been given access back into their neighborhood, and there are more of these anomalies being discovered. A viral video of the Lahaina Pentecostal Church shows what appears at first glance to be an electrical fire in the ceiling. But how is everything in the church pristine, except for a portion of the roof seam and the wall at one end? Many are saying this looks like a laser cut through the roof. There is an area with just a few buildings that have been totally devastated by fire, while everything surrounding them has been untouched. It is unclear as to how these random buildings caught fire.
And obviously the building next door is fully intact, no structural damage, no fire damage whatsoever. And then you have this building here. You can see the scuba tanks in there. This was one of the dive shops. You can see it's completely and utterly burned from the inside out.
And there are automobiles in untouched areas that somehow completely burned out. Once again, with melted glass and aluminum.
Right? Little parking lot, gravel. Everything's looking good. Those cars are probably working somewhere. These have been here for a while. But then this thing, and I know it didn't get moved here because you can still see the scorch marks on the building. Okay, so how'd this thing catch fire? Scorch marks, right? It was definitely burning right here. Just a random car fire? Random truck fire? Okay, look at this, look at this. How could this car? Okay, the building is perfectly fine. We got a concrete parking lot, right? I mean, even the trees are still good. And yet we got this guy. I mean, this car is melted, bro. This thing got absolutely melted. I mean, there's nothing. Someone probably threw that water bottle in there, but look at this thing, man. Now talk to me, people. Somebody, not a conspiracy theorist, but somebody that understands something about fires. Tell me, in the midst of this fire, is there an ember that's big enough that could float over here, incinerate this car, melt it, and nothing else around it? I don't think it was moved here, right? I don't think it was moved here. That's just tripping me out. How'd it catch fire? What happened? I don't even see flame marks back there. I see marks here, brown, black. You can see it happened here, right?
The wood survived the fire, but other objects were turned to piles of ash. In many of these piles, the ash appears to have been metal.
Why is all this on fire? Or why did it all? There's not even a structure here. But again, I don't know. Just piles of ashes of stuff that was clearly made out of some kind of tin foil or metal or something. I don't know, the metal really took a hammering on this fire. If you were metal, I mean wood, you're kind of good, right? Wood, yeah, you're not too bad. You're metal, you're done.
We aren't getting any answers. The victims of Lahaina are being ignored while the government funnels money to Israel.
And the metal culvert is melted. Look at the metal culvert. Look at that. That's a metal culvert, man. It melted. And just a little bit of grass, right? Why is that metal culvert charred?
And a frog has been found at ground zero, frozen in mid-jump, suggesting an instantaneous flash of high energy.
This right here is a toad that is petrified or mummified in mid-leap. So you can see the angle of it. It's not squatting down. It's very symmetrical in every way that it is. And you can see those legs just jumping. So whatever it is that happened in a split second.
Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
Hello, hello. Remember, the 5th of November. Welcome, everyone. It's Doug Diamond here. It is the 5th of November, 2023. You are here for another Diamond Report Live, and I'm glad you made it. 10:06 p.m. Central Time. Hope you guys made it through the big time shift, the time change. Everybody's sick and tired of the daylight savings and the non-daylight savings and the standard time and all these different things. Who knows what's going on and where that came from, really, and does it really matter? We want to get rid of it. I think pretty much everybody hates it. So anyways, I'm glad you're here, though, and welcome. We are going to take a look at the news. I've got a few things to look at. How about that Lahaina video from Greg Reese? Thought that was pretty interesting. And the toad mid-jump. Wow. That's some crazy stuff right there. And I think that it's looking more and more like the directed energy weapons, just like most people were saying who have investigated it, even just an iota, even just a tiny little bit. That's the first conclusion you pretty much come to. So anyways, there were some other factors involved, as we discussed many times about Lahaina, so we won't go into that now, but I think it was good to see that follow-up report from Greg Reese. And it's interesting that they're letting people in now, so we're probably going to see all sorts of weird anomalies if we haven't already, which there were definitely some in that video. So yes, Guy Fawkes Night. Remember, the 5th of November, that's what that's all about. If you've seen the movie V for Vendetta, you probably know what I'm talking about. But I have the Wikipedia page pulled up here. Guy Fawkes Night, also known as Guy Fawkes Day, Bonfire Night, and Fireworks Night, is an annual commemoration observed on the 5th of November, primarily in Great Britain, involving bonfires and fireworks displays. Its history begins with the events of the 5th of November, 1605, when Guy Fawkes, a member of the Gunpowder Plot, was arrested while guarding explosives the plotters had placed beneath the House of Lords. The Catholic plotters had intended to assassinate Protestant King James I in his parliament. Celebrating that the king had survived, people lit bonfires around London. Months later, the observance of the 5th of November Act mandated an annual public day of thanksgiving for the plot's failure. So anyway, yeah, if you've seen the movie V for Vendetta, you know all about this. I thought it was pretty interesting that the show tonight is on that day. So, and I changed my Facebook page to sort of reflect that a little bit as well, if you happen to be following along on my Facebook. So, yeah, welcome, and let's take a look at the news. I did find this short video here. This is from April 2020 now. It's on band.video, and I will link to this in my Substack post tomorrow, V for Vendetta. Pretty interesting video. I can't really play it, though, because it's got you-know-who talking in it, and if I do that during a live stream, there's a good chance they'll shut down my live stream. So let's get into the news. We've got Hal Turner radio show pulled up, and as usual, and he's got some interesting headlines, that's to say the least. CIA director arrives in Tel Aviv. And I don't know if you guys have listened to some of the pundits out there. They're saying that Tel Aviv may be one of the places that gets targeted soon for destruction. I don't know. There's no way to know that. Let's hope not. But it is interesting what's being said. Director of CIA, Central Intelligence, and William Burns has arrived in Tel Aviv, Israel. The evil Lord Darth Vader is now directly involved. So, pretty interesting. And strange, U.S. announces Ohio-class submarine has entered CENTCOM area of responsibility. So let's take a look at that. It says U.S. has strangely announced that an Ohio-class submarine has entered the CENTCOM area of responsibility. What makes this announcement strange is that they didn't identify which one. This makes a gigantic difference. On November 5th, the Ohio-class submarine arrived in the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility. So that's CENTCOM, Central Command. There are at present 18 Ohio-class submarines. 14 of those carry Trident II nuclear missiles with 8 independently targetable warheads each. That means that each submarine has 160 nuclear warheads. 4 of those Ohio-class submarines, the Ohio, the Florida, the Michigan, and the Georgia, carry 154 Tomahawk cruise missiles each. So the big question on everyone's mind right now is which Ohio-class submarine just arrived, and was it nuke or non-nuke? And this is what Hal says here. Things over there in the Middle East are growing more dangerous by the hour. The situation between Israel and Hamas has disaster written all over it, and not merely for Israel and Hamas, but for the entire region and maybe even the entire world. Whatever is coming is apparently huge. About 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S., the Israeli Defense Force put out a message on social media that they have never put out before. Pray for us. It's all over social media right now. Pray for us, they say. The IDF. So that's interesting. Does that mean something is pending? No way to know. Anyway, yeah, HalTurnerRadioshow.com. We'll just take a look at a few of the other headlines here. Flash, Iron Dome malfunctioning. Content for subscribers only. Bank deposits still not processed from 11/3. Most folks have heard about the glitch in several large banks wherein deposits made electronically transmitted on 11/3 did not process or arrive as scheduled on 11/4. Banks told everyone the trouble was fixed and money would appear Friday. So here's a meme, and he says, fire truck, and he says, I asked for HIMARS, not Hamas. Not Hamas. I guess they got the messages mixed up. Zelensky complains the war in Gaza is taking away the focus from Ukraine. Yes, I guess he would. That's all he cares about. And then the Iran defense minister to USA, ceasefire in Gaza or be hit hard. I don't think they're joking. I don't know about you guys. We stand with you, just keep distance. Out of 22 Arab countries, why is it that not one wants any Palestinians? Israel minister, dropping a nuke on Gaza is, quote, an option. So it's an option. It's just a nicety. We're considering it. We might. It's like delivering, a stick of butter to your neighbor, or we could just nuke them. USS Dwight D. Eisenhower transits the Suez Canal into the Red Sea. So I saw that on there as well. So there's quite a few headlines on Hal's website, HalTurnerRadioshow.com, if you want to take a look. I think I've got one more article from him pulled up a little bit later on. We'll get to in a few minutes. NeedToKnow.news, G. Edward Griffin's site. I've got a few headlines here we can take a look at. I didn't pull up any specific articles on this, but we'll talk about a couple of these things. Sam Bankman-Fried, convicted in fraud and conspiracy trial, faces 110 years in prison. And he'll get to serve about as many as Jeffrey Epstein did, probably. Democrat judge overturns mayoral primary results due to evidence of election fraud. It is everywhere. Yemen Houthis declare war on Israel. World War III hangs in the balance. So, yeah, more talk of World War III. So there's some pretty good info here on NeedToKnow.news if you guys want to have a look. On Revolver.news, I just pulled up a couple of headlines. Pharmageddon could shut down hundreds of pharmacies as thousands of pharmacists walk off the job. And it's up to you whether you decide if that's a bad thing or not, a bad news item. The protest movement of thousands of non-union employees working at big chains, dubbed as Pharmageddon, could close hundreds of pharmacies as the protests calling for workload changes spread in at least 15 states, along with sickouts and walkouts and protests of what they describe as unbearable workloads that could impact patient safety. Pharmacists have discussed protesting at the corporate headquarters of CVS in Rhode Island and in Illinois, according to California-based pharmacist Lanny Duong, one of the key organizers of the protest. So it says it estimates as many as 4,500 pharmacists, technicians, and staff from multiple chains, including CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, have been drawn by Pharmageddon efforts. So we'll see. I don't know if you guys are dependent on Big Pharma, Pharmakia, for any of your supplements, your non-supplements, your drugs. Just be aware that it may be difficult to get those particular items. So that is on naturalnews.com if you want to have a look at that. Teacher on leave after going full-blown devil worship for Halloween. This teacher definitely took his Halloween celebrations way too far. They made quite the entrance, strolling into the classroom, donning horns and brandishing a pitchfork, all while loudly proclaiming, "Hail Satan." This is from a teacher. As a result of this peculiar spectacle, it comes as no surprise that the school district swiftly decided to place the teacher on administrative leave. I'm surprised they didn't give him a promotion. But I guess it depends on where you are when you do this. A geometry teacher came to teach dressed as Satan, wearing horns and a pitchfork, and reportedly held the pitchfork over each student's head and said, "Hail Satan," as they walked into the classroom. Why are teachers pushing Satanism onto students? It's because that's who's being allowed to teach your kids. That's why. Anyways, this took place in at Mesa High School. So, Arizona, I guess. So, interesting. That is on Washington Engager is where that is. And I got one article pulled up from technocracy.news. And if you missed it last week, I mentioned that I used to do several articles from them on each of these broadcasts. And now I can only do one because they have limited the times that these articles are available. So this is the current one that is available. AI oligarchs plans team with China and break capitalism. Sounds about right. Thinking people should ditch the left-right rhetoric and look beyond their noses to see the technocrats who are playing all sides against the middle. Technocrats have used Republican administrations just as adroitly as Democratic ones. The singular common goal is to break capitalism with the help of only pure technocracy, China. Capitalism is anathema to technocrats because of its price-based economic system in favor of a resource-based system that they can totally control. Today, technocrats are swarming all over the Biden administration. It's because they found quite the friend in old Joe. Influence peddling, yes, for sure. Anyways, more info here. Feel free to take a look, technocracy.news. But if you're going to look at this particular article, you better hurry because it'll probably be gone in the next day or two. And the reason for that is stated here on the website, so you guys can read through that if you want to. I still fully support what they're doing there at technocracy.news, but just know that the articles that are posted there are posted only for a limited time publicly, and then it's really for just subscribers. So the Liberty Beacon is a website that I have not really forgotten about, but just haven't really brought up any recent news from here. But this is another really good website, thelibertybeacon.com. And this is the homepage. I've got a couple articles pulled up here. FBI equals following Biden's instructions. I think I've mentioned that before. Just like CIA is clowns in action, FBI is following Biden's instructions. FBI is doing backflips to boost old Joe in his re-election campaign. Unfortunately, federal courts don't recognize law enforcement shenanigans as a violation of the Voting Rights Act. So that kind of sums it up right there as far as the cartoon and what's happening. Investigating Joe Biden. So anyway, yep, that's on the Liberty Beacon. A couple more from there. Zelensky complains war in Gaza is taking away the focus from Ukraine. This is what desperation looks like. So we mentioned that already, but another article about it. This is actually from Zero Hedge. And like all these articles I mentioned tonight, I'll link to all of them in my Substack post. So make sure you're on that list. The Substack is diamondisc.substack.com, and it's linked up in the upper right corner area of the screen. You'll see it on there. As well as the shop.thediamond.report. Both of those things are up there in the black box. So don't miss that. Make sure you are definitely subscribed to the Substack list. It's totally free. And again, all the cool kids are doing it. So make sure you are a cool kid too. All right. So let's look at the Daily Crow. Lahaina reopens and new questions arise. This should remove all doubt over the dew theory. The frog which he called it a toad, actually. The toad is like something you would expect to find in Pompeii. Yeah, it did sort of look like that. Netanyahu declaring invasion. You must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible. And he really likes to bring it up when it supports his case, right? Bibi announced the invasion of Gaza on Saturday by citing the commandment from the Old Testament calling on Israelites to go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and donkey. Man, you must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible. So there he is defending genocide by using scripture. That is what evil does. And we're going to look at that verse just a little bit closer in a little while. I just thought I would bring your attention to that particular story if you hadn't heard it, but many of you have already. So yes, Bibi is fully in support of the Bible when it supports his politics. Otherwise, not so much. Biden deploys a bulldozer, hear about this one, to lift the border fence, letting in illegals. Yeah, like 300 of them. Cameras captured the moment Border Patrol used heavy machinery. Border Patrol. They might as well have Joe out there using the heavy machinery to raise the concertina wire erected by Texas authorities just as a group of more than 300 illegals coincidentally arrived in the area and stormed the riverbank at Eagle Pass. Border Hawk reported. And here it is right here. So let's watch this short video. I've got it queued up here. It's really amazing. It's amazing. But we are being betrayed on so many levels. It's just not even funny. Biden regime deploys heavy machinery to lift razor wire for a massive mob of illegals at the Rio Grande.
I'm Efrain Gonzalez, correspondent with Border Hack News. These are exclusive images of how mass crossings of hundreds of migrants are being carried out in recent days at Eagle Pass, raising the barbed wire with machinery.
This huge caravan of around 300 migrants crossed into Eagle Pass thanks to Border Patrol agents lifting the barbed wire. The hundreds of migrants crossed in a few minutes, this being the fourth massive crossing that our cameras witnessed in the last days of October. Previously, these caravans are sent to uninhabited areas of the Rio Grande, where Border Patrol awaits them with forklift tractors. Given these facilities, migrants say they prefer to cross the river instead of processing legal entry.
¿El plan cuál es ahora? ¿Cruzar por el río Bravo con sus niños o CBP-1?
Cruzar por el río Bravo y no, primeramente en el nombre de Dios.
¿Qué no
Se
pasa?
tarda mucho. Sí. Y nosotros no tenemos recursos para quedarnos.
Somehow, these large groups of migrants are informed about the place and time when the forklifts raise the barbed wire to cross in drops.
So how about that? Isn't that nice? Biden's just using heavy equipment to let the illegals in. And are you okay with that? I mean, what could be done? Oh, I know. Let's vote him out of office. No, that's not possible, is it? Well, anyways, yep, bulldozers letting people in, and I'm surprised they are not arming them yet, but I do think that's coming. So if you guys hear any news about that, let me know. That's kind of the next step in the process. They're going to literally arm these illegals as they come in. You watch. In some way. But they're not yet. So I'll give them that. All right, next one I've got pulled up. Under Israeli attack, who are the Christians of Gaza? They're smaller in number, but with deep roots that they are unwilling to leave behind. This is on Al Jazeera. In one of the defining moments so far of Israel's ongoing war in Gaza, a deadly explosion at this hospital on the 17th of October killed close to 500 people, according to Palestinian health authorities, which we talked about that before. No one really seems to know what exactly happened and who did that and if those people were really killed. And if so, was it a stray errant missile fired by Hamas or was it the Israelis? Nobody seems to know. Of course, Al Jazeera is blaming the Israelis, which that may be true as well. I don't know. 2 days later, Israel bombed the Church of the Saint Porphyrius, and I mentioned that before. Gaza's oldest church, killing at least 18 people. The deadly attacks on the hospital, an Anglican institution, and the church have brought into sharp focus the enclave's embattled Christian minority, which, like the rest of the Gaza Strip, is under assault from relentless Israeli bombardment. So, how many Christians live in Gaza, and where did they come from? Number of Christians in Gaza has dwindled in recent years. Today there are only approximately 1,000 left, a sharp drop from the 3,000 registered in 2007, when Hamas assumed complete control over the enclave. So, but that's still quite a few. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Anyways, let's see here. The next one I've got pulled up is this. This is an interesting letter I found. This is dated April 10th, 1948, from Albert Einstein. You may have heard of him. It's addressed to Mr. Shepard Rifkin, Executive Director of American Friends of the Fighters for the Freedom of Israel. Keeping in mind the date, 1948 here, this is, right when Israel became a nation, right? Dear Sir, this is Albert Einstein talking. When a real and final catastrophe should befall us in Palestine, the first responsible for it would be the British, and the second responsible for it, the terrorist organizations build up from our own ranks. I am not willing to see anybody associated with those misled and criminal people. Sincerely yours, Albert Einstein. Thought that was interesting, and he was calling them criminals, and he was Jewish. But of course they're criminals. We've covered that at length on this broadcast. But good old Al, he got that one right, didn't he? So much for E equals MC squared, right? At least he got this right. No, I'm just joking. Here's the other Hal article I mentioned earlier. Yemen army spokesperson says that they have officially declared war on Israel. Kind of interesting, huh? You might say, well, where is Yemen anyways? Well, it's somewhere over there. It's in the Middle East. It's right here. Interesting, though, that they have the entire country of Saudi Arabia between them and Israel. I'm not really sure how much damage they can do, but if they're allowed to fire missiles over Saudi Arabia, I guess there's a good chance that they could cause some issues here. It says video, Yemeni cruise missiles over Israel. So, who knows? But there's quite a bit of coverage here on this particular article. Again, on Hal's website. So, we'll link to that one as well as everything else that I mentioned tonight in the Substack posts. Over 140 people killed by the earthquake in Nepal. Didn't know if you guys even knew there was an earthquake in Nepal. 6.4 magnitude quake struck the Himalayan country late Friday. 140 people have been killed and over 140 others injured after a 6.4 magnitude earthquake hit a remote pocket of Nepal on Saturday. Yeah, those buildings over there are not made to withstand earthquakes, and it doesn't take much. A 5 or a 6 can really do a lot of damage. And we've seen that over the years. And this is something that Dutch Sense has been talking about very keenly and is really good at forecasting where earthquakes will strike. And my guess is if he would have been able to, he probably would have put the warning out for this area. But then the next question is, was he able to? The answer to that is no. He has been booted off of the internet, not allowed to have internet where he lives. So it says no earthquake updates for a while. This is as of 10/28. Internet shut down and making new earthquake program, he says. I watched this video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. He has a huge YouTube following here, 639,000 subscribers. But he had Starlink apparently, and that didn't work for him, and a number of other different providers, and none of them would work. So he managed to get this short video uploaded, but apparently he is without internet and therefore cannot warn people when earthquakes are coming. So pretty interesting, huh? What does that mean? I mean, if he is been taken off of the internet, that sort of tells me there may be a rather large earthquake being planned for us. So we'll see. Just based on the timing here, and it certainly was not this one in Nepal. This was just one that's happened in the meantime. So that's not good. So we'll just keep a sharp eye on that, I guess. This is the Substack for Greg Reese on Lahaina's reopening and new questions arising. So that's a good one to pull up and look at as well. And we've got one more Reese report that we'll play here in just a minute. That's an additional video that is also very interesting on a completely different subject matter. Okay, from the Hill, bring back the draft. A divisive home front battle will loom over any major war. The draft. So that is what they're talking about. If you guys have kids or grandkids who are that age, just be aware that that is being talked about. Is the U.S. on the cusp of a three-front world war against Russia, Iran, and China? If such a seismic event were to occur, would our nation's 50-year-old all-volunteer force require a boost from, dare I even say it, a reinstatement of the draft? How many of those kids do you think would actually allow themselves to be drafted? I don't see too many of them, but we'll see, I guess. It was January 1973 when most American men aged 19 to 25 were able to celebrate Nixon's abolition of the draft. Defense Secretary Laird announced, "I wish to inform you that the armed forces henceforth will depend exclusively on volunteer soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines." So since 1973, although they've still made people sign up. I remember having to sign those paperwork, those papers whenever I turned, whatever it was, 18, I guess. So although Jimmy Carter later reinstated the draft registration, American men have escaped mandatory military service for 2 generations because millions of their patriotic brothers and sisters were willing to serve voluntarily, with thousands of them laying down their lives for their country. Yes, and war is a racket. Never forget that. Anyway, there's more details here, and just know it is being bandied about. They are thinking very seriously about bringing the draft back. We'll see whether that actually happens or not. I have my doubts, though, that people will actually allow themselves to be drafted. I think there'll be a lot of people sitting in jail if that were to happen. So we'll see. And it's not like this is a strange story or anything. A centaur skeleton with horns was found during excavations in Cyprus. And I saw this and I'm like, yeah, right. This can't be real. But here's what it says, and of course it's brand new, cutting edge, breaking news here. In 2015, during excavations in Cyprus, the strange remains of a creature suspiciously resembling a centaur were found. Yes, very strange and very suspicious. The huge horse skeleton was smoothly transformed into a human skeleton with arms and skull, and ended in twisted horns. Archaeologists first thought it might have been a mass grave. In the past, influential people were often buried with their horses and their wives and their servants, but then it became clear that the skeleton was a single unit. Analysis showed a DNA match between the horse and human body parts. In addition, no human-like lower limbs were found during the excavation, but how can this be? Did centaurs really exist? Well, what do you guys think? I think they did. Whether or not this is real, I have no idea. But it is interesting, that's for sure. I'm not sure why this is just now coming out, but I just now saw the link for this from dailycrow.com. That's where I found it. But yeah, who knows? Just thought I would bring it to your attention. We cover pretty much everything around here, don't we? Centaurs. Congress sneaks in a stealth $34,000 pay raise. Gates and AOC among more than 200 lawmakers to benefit. So, in the meanwhile, you and I can't exactly vote ourselves a pay raise, last time I checked. But they sure can, and they do. Never mind the economy. Never mind everything else that's going on. Everything else is collapsing. They're voting themselves a pay raise of $34,000. As House Democrats were set to hand power over to the Republicans following their midterm loss, they slipped in a provision. Into the House's internal rules under the guise of aiding their less affluent members, a $34,000 allowance to ostensibly help with living expenses in Mordor, aka Washington, D.C. A deep dive into the records by Washington Free Beacon reveals that over 200 lawmakers, including the vociferous AOC, have dipped into this taxpayer-funded pot, a sumptuous feast on the nation's dime. AOC, who has previously lamented the costliness of D.C. living on a congressperson's salary, now enjoys taxpayer support for accommodations in a luxury building replete with amenities that seem more Silicon Valley than Capitol Hill. Bipartisan handout. So far, 113 Democrats, 104 Republicans, including millionaire members like Katie Porter and House Minority Whip Catherine Clark, have partaken in the program, drawing $1.4 million from taxpayers during the first half of this year alone. Rep. Matt Gaetz, a critic of past budgetary excesses, whose wife says she's got a chef husband, claimed the largest share of the fund. Perks of having a chef husband. This is her tweet. Ginger Gates's, I guess, tweet. When pressed about the apparent contradiction, Gaetz justified his actions to the Washington Free Beacon, emphasizing his adherence to the law and his thrifty shopping habits. So he's going to get the most bang for his buck. Yeah, right. I've complied with the law, and my cooking is often with discount BOGO products. So that makes it all better. And he's eating at McDonald's when he can. Yeah. Whatever. But says the subsidy itself is derived from members' office budgets and allows for lodging expenses up to $258 per day and meal expenses up to $79 per day, which will buy you I think a Big Mac and some fries and a drink. $79 a day. Prices are going up everywhere, but that's on Zero Hedge. I found this on Futurism. Any Adobe fans out there? I use some of their products like Photoshop and so forth. Adobe has been caught selling AI-generated images of Israel and Palestine violence. Yikes. So these are some of the Adobe AI-generated photos of things that are not real. The misinformation is coming from inside the tech industry. Software giant Adobe has been caught selling AI-generated images of the Israel-Hamas conflict or war, as first spotted by Australian news outlet Crikey, a shocking and morally reprehensible instance of a company directly profiting from the spread of misinformation online. Yeah, but it's okay if they do it. They're in Silicon Valley. A quick search on the company Adobe's stock website. That's a website where you can get pictures and, well, here it says a service that offers subscription customers access to a library of generic stock images and now AI shots as well. If you do a search for conflict between Israel and Palestine, comes up with photorealistic images of explosions in high-density urban environments that closely resemble the real-life carnage currently unfolding in Gaza. Another image shows a mother and child in destroyed city in Palestine, Israel war conflict, a devastating framing that was entirely AI-generated. In fact, it's one of a series of 33 images that all show a similar composition. And yet, another shows destroyed and burnt buildings in the Israel city. These images all appear to have been submitted by Adobe stock users and were seemingly not generated by Adobe itself. However, while they're technically tagged as being generated with AI, a requirement for all users submitted work, some of these images are already making their rounds on other parts of the web, which could easily mislead unsuspecting members of the public. So a simple reverse image search on Google confirms this, with one photorealistic AI image of a huge explosion being used by a number of small publications. So just be aware out there that some of these photos you're seeing in articles are AI generated and not real. So pretty interesting, huh? So that is Adobe putting out the fakery. And more big tech craziness. Microsoft shamelessly pumping internet full of garbage AI-generated news articles. The company pumps out trash tier AI content, then waits until it's called out publicly to quietly delete it and move on to the next train wreck. We've known that Microsoft's MSN news portal has been pumping out a garbled AI-generated fire hose for well over a year now. The company's been using the website to distribute misleading and oftentimes incomprehensible garbage to hundreds of millions of readers per month. Hard to believe they have that many readers, but I guess they do. As CNN now reports, it's likely in large part due to MSN's decision to lay off most of the human editors at MSN over the years. In the wake of that culling, the company has redirected its effort towards AI, culminating in a $10 billion stake in ChatGPT. So, there you go. And I mentioned this one a few weeks back. It says, beyond republishing stories by small unknown publishers, like the one that infamously called former NBA player Brandon Hunter, who passed away unexpectedly at the age of 42 back in September, it called him useless in its headline. Microsoft using a variety of tactics to shoehorn AI into its MSN. So just be aware, you got fake pictures and fake articles coming at you. Not that you guys are reading MSN, but I'm just saying it is there. So warn friends and family that if they're reading MSN, it's likely garbage, which it's Microsoft, so what do you expect? All right, so here's the other Reese report. This is the other video I wanted to play for you guys. By way of deception, thou shalt do war. So there you go. Pretty interesting, huh? All right, let's take a look at the Gateway Pundit. World War III watch. One of the U.S. Navy's largest submarines armed with nuclear missiles arrives in the Middle East, which is what we were just mentioning earlier tonight, the Ohio-class submarines. So this is giving quite a bit of background here on this, calling it the deadliest submarine. In a move that has ratcheted up tensions in an already precarious region, U.S. Central Command confirmed the arrival of one of its Ohio-class submarines. The Biden regime has yet to release an official statement. Surprise, surprise, right? Anyway, there's more info here on the Gateway Pundit, and this one as well. I thought this was kind of interesting. Under a blood-red sky, geomagnetic storm causes intense auroras in Northern America and European regions. Sky explodes in crimson over Russia and Ukraine. Look at that. That's amazing. I don't know if that's AI generated by Adobe, but that is pretty interesting. As above, so below, the old hermetic adage seems to be at play these days. It turns out that the residents of Crimea, Donetsk, Rostov, and Voronezh regions experienced rare sightings of the northern lights following the onset of a strong magnetic storm. Additionally, a red glow was only visible in Kiev and other cities in Ukraine. So pretty interesting. Look at that. There's Stonehenge. So lots of strangeness afoot, huh? Further down south, not so close to the polar regions, Eastern European countries experienced a rare sighting of a blood-red sky. This is in Croatia. Pretty amazing. Quite beautiful, actually, but very strange. So, yeah. Maybe geoengineering is got something to do with that. I don't know. No major incidents reported. D.C. police, after pro-Hamas mob attacks White House gates, defaces statues, damages police vehicles, and conservatives respond. So when do the pre-dawn FBI raids begin for the pro-Hamas insurrectionists? How about never? The D.C. Police Department Saturday night defended the mob of violent pro-Palestine and pro-Hamas rioters who attacked the White House gates, defaced statues, and rushed Secret Service agents. Several minor incidents, including property damage, were reported during the First Amendment activity in the district this weekend. There were no major incidents reported, D.C. police said on X. In other words, it was fiery but peaceful. Where have we heard that before? Yeah, they don't even need a person like George Floyd. They have the multi-generational war between Israel and Gaza backing up what they're doing. So it's crazy. Alabama mayor and pastor, he's the mayor and the pastor, commits suicide in front of the police after a website publishes photos of him in drag. An Alabama mayor and pastor has committed suicide in front of police officers after photos of him in drag were published online. So this is really sad, but this is just sort of a sign of the times, I guess. An article about Smith Station mayor and First Baptist Church of Phoenix City pastor Bubba Copeland. Bubba. Dressing as a woman was published on 1819 News on November 1st. His suicide was confirmed by police 2 days later. The report had detailed how Copeland was posting as a transgender woman online under the pseudonym Brittany Blair Summerlin. So that was his pseudonym. He goes on to say here that he was not undergoing any sort of transition physically. But I thought this was interesting. He says, and remember, he's a pastor. He says, what I do in my private life has nothing to do with what I do in my holy life. Copeland continued, does this have any effect on me being mayor, that I sometimes put on a dress or sometimes put on makeup? Does that have anything to do whatsoever with me being mayor or being a pastor? The silence means yes, it does. And it must, because he's now dead. And he took a direct shot with a gun. That's what he did to himself. It wasn't even death by cop. He literally shot himself. So, very sad, but again, kind of a sign of the times that this stuff is even happening. Total insanity. Here we go. California reinstates mask mandates. I thought they'd already done that. Bay Area counties implement mandatory face coverings through March. So there's your face covering. That's what you're going to look like. That's what they want. We will attack U.S. bases. They must pay the price. Eyes on Hezbollah. Hassan Nasrallah warns Israel of pending attacks. Threatens strikes on U.S. bases. Leader of Hezbollah in Lebanon, an Iranian proxy army, spoke today to supporters in Beirut. He warned of strikes against U.S. bases in the region, saying, we will attack U.S. bases. They must pay the price. There have been at least 24 attacks on U.S. bases in the Middle East since Hamas stormed Israel and massacred 1,400 civilians. But as I've mentioned before, the Gateway Pundit is a huge Israel supporter, which I am not. And I'm sorry that those 1,400 people died, but in return, I think the latest numbers I heard were upwards of 9,000 dead Palestinians. Last time I checked, 9,000 is a bit more than 1,400. And there's no mention of those folks who got slaughtered. Many of them, of course, were kids. Total craziness, man. House approves $14 billion Israel aid package. $14.3 billion Israel aid package. Slashes IRS budget. Biden regime threatens to veto the bill. So the House passed it when they weren't busy giving themselves a raise. On Thursday, under the leadership of the newly installed Speaker, Mike Johnson, House Republicans successfully passed a standalone bill to help Israel fight Hamas with only just under $15 billion. I mean, of course, that's going to help anybody. As the Gateway pundit previously reported, Biden is mulling over a supplementary request for a massive $100 billion earmarked for defense assistance to Israel and Ukraine, along with border security funding in the U.S. Yeah, right. That just means more heavy equipment to tear down the walls and the fences and the razor wire and everything else. Anyways, yeah, so this Mike Johnson individual, who is now the speaker, is quite the pro-Israel type of guy. So he's willing to spend all of our money in Israel, apparently. So they're starting with this $14.3 billion Israel aid package. So who knows where it's all headed, but I just thought you'd like to know. Ouch. Dominican president trolls Biden with beach comment. Thought this was kind of funny. Says Biden on Thursday held a bilateral meeting with Dominican Republic President Luis Abinader in the Oval Office. President Abinader trolled Biden with a beach comment. The next summit of the Americas will be in Punta Cana, so you'll have time to be on the beach, he said to Biden, referring to his nonstop beach vacations. How about just nonstop vacations? 400 days was the last number I heard. 400 days he spent on vacation. Which, I mean, it's fine, get him out of Dodge, but obviously he's being put on vacation because someone else is running the country, i.e. Barack Insane Obama. Tucker Carlson makes surprise visit to Julian Assange in prison. So that'll be interesting to see if that is coming as an interview. Tucker Carlson shared on X this morning that he's visiting WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange at the HM prison Belmarsh in London. Tucker's visit comes as Assange is facing extradition to the U.S. to stand trial for charges of receiving, possessing, and communicating classified information to the public under the Espionage Act. Carlson posted a photo of himself outside Belmarsh prison with the caption, "Visiting Julian Assange at Belmarsh prison this morning." So that'll be interesting and will be a widely circulated interview if he's able to manage that. So hopefully that's what was going on. Interesting, though, that Tucker was even allowed to see him. Gateway Pundit article again. Hillary Clinton's week goes from bad to worse after Columbia University students walk out on her lecture. They walked out on Hillary Clinton's lecture on Wednesday in protest of the public shaming of the pro-Hamas students showcased on the doxing truck. Pro-Hamas students from Columbia, Harvard, and other universities have been identified by nonprofit organization Accuracy in Media and advertised on doxing trucks. Wow. Hillary Clinton was hired as a professor at Columbia University earlier this year. Could you imagine her as your professor? Clinton was hired to teach in their School of International and Public Affairs. I'm sure they would also hire Bill Clinton to teach about affairs. According to the New York Times, 30 of the 300 students attending Hillary Clinton's lecture walked out. So they walked out because they apparently were not getting the support from her that they felt they deserved. Pretty funny. So yeah, if you didn't know she was a teacher, now you do. Experts speculate on possible length of prison sentence for convicted crypto scammer Sam Bankman-Fried. There he is. People become so cynical about the justice system that many believe now convicted crypto scammer Sam Bankman-Fried will see little to no prison time, but even with our biased system, that is unlikely. I don't know. Bankman-Fried was found guilty on all counts, and he reportedly performed terribly on the stand at trial, hurting his own case in a big way. He's facing a maximum sentence of 110 years and probably won't get anything that extreme, but the judge in the case could certainly sentence him to decades behind bars. Experts are speculating as to the length of his sentence. And again, he could be looking at a Jeffrey Epstein sort of situation. No idea. But I did find this and thought that this was worth mentioning. And you too should find someone that loves you as much as this sketch artist. You see, first of all, reality on the right, and then now you see a sketch artist's fantasy on the left. Enough said. Wow. I put that on my Facebook page too. I thought that was pretty funny. Legendary college basketball coach Bobby Knight, dead at 83. So for all you chair throwing fans, I'm sure you're sad to see this. That's probably the one thing that he's known for, was throwing a chair during a basketball game. Years ago. I think it was during the 80s. Anyway, yeah, Bobby Knight has passed away. So I thought this was kind of funny. It says, this was a quote he said, actually. I don't know when, but he said, "When my time on Earth is gone and my activities here are past, I want them to bury me upside down, and critics can kiss my, you know what, arse." Pretty funny. That's funny stuff, though. Knight's first NCAA title came in 1976 when Indiana was undefeated, a feat no team has accomplished since. So, wow. Pretty interesting. Why is there fluorescent green liquid leaking up from manholes in Manhattan? Y'all see this? Question mark. NYC's green slime spotted bubbling up from the underground. Surprising source revealed. Says looks like toxic goo. Bright green liquid. You can see it. Bright green liquid oozes from New York City sewers. Look at all of it. And here's where it came from. So now you know. No, I don't think it was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think. So there's literal green sludge bubbling up from the ground next to the World Trade Center right now. Says that it's green dye that plumbers use. That's an awful lot of green dye for it to be coming up at various places. It's not just coming up at one manhole cover. It's a number of different ones all over the place. Very strange. But it is New York we're talking about here. So maybe the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are in town. I don't know. Very weird. Report, Tennessee college students, they were taught to illegally obtain abortion pills from Indiana and told to keep their mouths absolutely, completely shut. Here are the results of a culture bent on destroying life. Campus Reform has obtained audio from a feminist group's seminar at the University of Tennessee, where the speaker instructed students on how to kill their babies while subverting the law. UT student group hosted an abortion pill training event on October 19th, educating students on how to discreetly maintain access to abortions in defiance of statewide laws that prohibit this practice. University of Tennessee's Women's Coordinating Council, which runs as a registered student organization at the university, invited Maxine Carwile to lead a training course through Self-Managed Abortion Safe and Supported, SASS, a pro-abortion non-profit organization. So they're advising people to go to Indiana to get the death pills. Wow. Yeah, so even though the law in Tennessee, which the former Planned Parenthood rep is citing, explicitly states that women who kill their children are exempt from penalties, she's still frightening these college girls into lying to everyone after they take the illegally sourced pills. And her excuse? People break the law all the time. Who cares? And they call them pregnant persons, too, by the way. Pregnant persons. So, wow. But that's in Tennessee. University of Tennessee. Not good. There's no way police in England are like this. This has to be fake. It's actually not fake. And I put this out on my Facebook page and also on my Twitter a couple days ago. There's seriously no way this is an actual interaction between an English police officer and a common man waiting for his friend at the train station. So I won't play this again if you guys have seen it already, but I would certainly point you to it because it is hilarious. One of the quotes from the cop, the English police officer says, "I need to eliminate you as a suspect from the crime that may or may not be currently in progress. If you're unwilling to allow me to eliminate you, then we'll have to take the matter further, and you'll be in a whole lot of additional trouble." Never mind the fact he was just sitting there in his car waiting on his friend at the train station. So if you want to see the video, it was actually removed for some reason from the original Twitter account that this article was linking to on notthebee.com. But I did find the video and posted it on my Twitter page, so you'll see it there. English police harass man who was just waiting for his friend at the train station. It is hilarious. It's exactly like a Monty Python skit, if you guys are Monty Python fans. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to play it just because I don't want to waste 3 minutes here, and you guys can go watch it on your own, but it's really, really funny. I was laughing uncontrollably on that. Summit.news, we have some headlines here we'll take a look at. Videos, another 7,000 illegal immigrants are about to cross the open border because they know they can. Rand Paul says Biden is bluffing in threat to veto House bill on Israel aid. This picture that we're seeing here looks a lot like that one of those ones that was an AI-generated Adobe picture, so who knows. Poll, Kennedy takes almost a quarter of votes in a three-way matchup against Biden and Trump. A quarter. Wow. D.C. mayor implements Big Brother digital vehicle tracking program amid rising car thefts. Israeli army suffers more casualties as Hamas publishes video showing tanks blown up. Elon Musk said Twitter was completely controlled by the far left. And that's news. Why? Video, New York Post reporter yells at Biden press secretary and calls her anti-democratic. Well, that's because she is. Well, anyway, there's more articles here on Summit.news. Paul Joseph Watson's site on InfoWars. New U.S. bomb could kill 300,000 in Moscow, Newsweek says. The planned weapon would be 24 times more powerful than the one used in Hiroshima, according to an estimate. And why are we talking about Moscow? The U.S. nuclear bomb planned for development, they're still thinking about it, has the potential to level central Moscow and kill more than 300,000 of its 13 million inhabitants, Newsweek magazine reported Friday. Why are they doing this? Citing a simulation created through the online tool Nuke Map, which I've seen that website before. Yes, but the Russians also have something called the Poseidon, and it's a torpedo. And if we attempt to do something like this, they're going to hit us with it. Major impact, East Coast probably, or West Coast, or both. Wiping out entire cities, not just 300,000. So, yeah. But anyway, this is on InfoWars, and I got a couple more articles here from there. Another bank collapse, sixth one this year. Failure of Citizen Bank comes as several other major banks experience payroll deposit freezes due to a glitch on Friday. It always happens on Fridays. Goes back to the old, what was it? The old video clip from The Truth Is Out There, the X-Files. It starts on a Friday. Citizens Bank was shut down by government regulators on Friday, making it the sixth regional bank to collapse in 2023. Citizens Bank is in Iowa. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys knew about that. Watch, world's first AI human-like robot CEO unveiled. It's a human-like robot CEO. And it looks completely sane, doesn't it? AI robot CEO Mika is the official face of Dictador, a major rum and spirits producer. I like how it's got spirits. Oh yeah, it's producing spirits, all right. Rum and spirits distributor has made a humanoid robot driven by artificial intelligence its new CEO. So they're going to get what they're asking for, most likely. If they're not already woke, they will be soon. I'm sure they will be hiring Dylan Mulvaney to be their new spokesperson. You watch. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's definitely purveying in spirits, for sure. Evil spirits. All right, vaccineimpact.com, and this is one that I mentioned earlier, but I'll just read the headlines here. You guys can look at these articles if you want to. Vaccineimpact.com. Netanyahu's terrorism against Jews, millions killed by bioweapon shots and recent bombings by the IDF. Evangelical Christians turn their backs on Christians in Palestine who are being murdered and attacked by Jews as they give unconditional support to Israel. Yeah, we are seeing that left and right. And that is what the churches, I don't know where you are, but most of the churches around here for sure are supporting Israel unconditionally. And they're totally fine with murdering other Christians. It's okay when we do it. Meaning the U.S., meaning Israel. They think they're on the side of God because they believe the total BS that the country, the nation state of Israel, is somehow the same Israel in the Bible. Shows you what they know, huh? First Amendment rights survive Republican Zionist effort to censor free speech in Congress as rhetoric of hate and murder among the right intensifies. Wow. World War III imminent, opposition both inside the U.S. and outside the U.S. grows as children continue to be massacred in Palestinian genocide. That's exactly what it is. Are you seeking the approval of men or the approval of God? And the rest of these articles are ones that I mentioned last week. So, some good writing over here on vaccineimpact.com. And geoengineeringwatch.org for this week. November the 4th was when this was put out yesterday. Geoengineering Watch Global Alert News, November 4th, show number 430. Waging world war while global ecological collapse goes exponential. What could go wrong? Stock markets are worried about their bottom line of profit, though sooner than almost any dare to imagine the next bite of food will be the biggest priority. From Fox News, deadly bomb cyclone slams Europe. The bomb cyclones are back, I guess. From Science Alert, extreme storms now breach worst-case scenario. Droughts, deluges, and dirty water are all wreaking havoc on flora, fauna, and people. Climate intervention operations are further fueling the entire scenario. Is there still enough time to alter our current course before impact? So asks Mr. Dane. So, man, just non-stop. And we've got the Global Alert News edition here embedded on the page, which is on YouTube. And then there's also another shorter video embedded of some additional video from Instagram, from his Instagram channel. So feel free to take a look at that. And we did actually put out, this is the third week in a row where we've done another a little bit longer broadcast, the full show, on his Rumble channel and BitChute channel. So if you want to hear a few extra minutes of the broadcast that you won't get on YouTube, you guys can go to Geoengineering Watch on BitChute and Rumble and listen to the broadcast there, because that's where the full show is. And it's actually the same information is put out over the terrestrial radio stations as well, for the most part. It's the same thing. We just can't put that same information on YouTube because Dane would get a strike, most likely. So, yeah. Anyways, pretty interesting, but that is on geoengineeringwatch.org. And now back to this. This is something I mentioned early on in the broadcast. Is Hamas the biblical Amalek that must be wiped out? So here's the scripture that BB was referring to, and it's from Deuteronomy 25:17. Remember what Amalek did to you on your journey after you left Egypt, how undeterred by fear of Hashem, he surprised you on the march, when you were famished and weary, and cut down all the stragglers in your rear. Therefore, when Hashem, your God, grants you safety from all your enemies around you in the land that Hashem, your God, is giving you as a hereditary portion, you shall blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Do not forget. So that's the scripture, and then people read it or they hear about this and they're like, well, look, God just wants to kill all these people. He wants to kill all the little ones in this story as well, and not only that, but the animals too. It says on Friday, Bibi wrote a letter to the IDF soldiers fighting against Hamas. In the letter, Netanyahu referred to the biblical commandment to remember Amalek. So I'm sure you guys have seen this, and I don't know if you've investigated this much at all, but here's the deal. Amalek was apparently part of the Nephilim, not even fully human, which is why God said to smite them, because they were not of God. They were of the fallen angels. Now, this is on Genesis 6 Conspiracy. Many of you guys know Gary Wayne. This is on his website, chapter 25, the Amalekites. The Amalekites. This then suggests the Amalekites were in existence as a race of giants in the epoch of the antediluvian Nephilim. In other words, they were Nephilim both before and after the flood. So that is part of the story. That's the part that you won't hear. You assume when you read that scripture or hear the scripture quoted that it's being who's being talked about there are other humans. They're not. They're Nephilim. They are beings who were created not by God, but by the fallen angels, having intercourse with human women. That's why God said to smite them and their babies and everyone else. That's the story. So if you doubt me, the guy that wrote that particular book called Genesis 6 Conspiracy, which is genesis6conspiracy.com, Gary Wayne, again, very, very interesting book and very good information, good background. There's an interview here called Every Nephilim Tribe in the Bible with Gary Wayne. And I guess we can listen to just a few minutes of this, just kind of get a feel for it. But this kind of says what I just read, but there's a little bit more info here, and I'll link to this video in my Substack post. So again, get on that list if you're not already. And here's Gary Wayne talking about this very issue.
All right. Well, let's kick it off here. I've got them listed alphabetically.
Yep. Okay. So we can go off one at a time. I'll say yes or no or give an explanation.
Perfect. This should be a pretty easy layup here. The Amalekites.
Yes and no.
Okay.
So the Amalekites that most people are familiar with are created in Genesis 36 through Timnah, who is a Horim and a Horim tribe. And she's the offspring of Seir, of the dukes, the Alephs of Edom.
Okay.
Right. And her brother is Lotan. So she is a giant, a female giant. And a lot of people ask me about, well, why is there never any females listed? Well, sometimes you just don't know the name.
Sure.
Right. There's a couple other ones. But anyways, she marries Eliphaz, son of Esau.
Okay.
Right. And Esau is the one that the Amalekites, that the Israelites, Jacob in particular, before his name's changed to Israel, he's the twin brother of Esau, and he steals the blessing and the birthright and the Messianic blessing as well, because in two different times he seizes that. So there's this rivalry that's going to develop down through the ages. So the Edomites, they move into the land of Edom, Edomea, and Esau and his descendants will intermarry with the giants. So I won't go through the names that Esau married to create hybrid giants, because he's obviously not a giant. He's from the Abrahamic bloodline, but they name Timnah and Eliphaz, create a new nation called Amalekites, and this is a hybrid nation.
Okay.
And they take that name sort of eponymously or patronymically, you could probably say both on that, from a tribe of giants named the Amalekim, and they're going to go live amongst them and create the Agag, the Agag dynasty. Now we know that this is a different group than the Amalekim, as I would like to call them. I will call giant tribes with an I-am, which is the male plural, which means ones. And so they all have a meaning to the name, and it's sort of assigned with ones. So like, for example, Nephilim are the giant ones. The Rephaim, the seraphim, are the serpent-faced ones, the angels.
Sure.
It's plural, and so you understand it sort of that way. Amalekim, or Amalekites, as they're badly translated out of Hebrew, first show up in Genesis 14. not Genesis 36. There's a people there. Now, what's really interesting about Genesis 14 is that's the war of the Mesopotamian giants against the regional area of the land of the covenant giants. And they are a giant nation that's listed there before. And the Amalekim were listed not only in southern Edom, but also in the east. And so there seems to have been a migrations first to the Mesopotamia area, and then not too long after, either another branch, along with some other giant nations, went down to live in the Edomaria region, or Mount Seir, which is named after Seir, the patriarch for Timnah. And Seir goes back to the Hebrew word satir, which is a goat god.
Okay, well, you get the idea, and you can see how he's just like steeped in this information. So if you guys want more info, Gary Wayne is a really good source on this, I think. So anyway, I was trying to set the record straight a little bit here. God has not just decided all of a sudden to kill all of these humans, to smite all of these people. These were Nephilim. These were a race of beings that were not supposed to exist. So that's why they were instructed to be smited. So anyways, I thought that was pretty interesting, and Gary Wayne does some incredible work, as you guys know. I saw some positive comments there in chat. So, yeah, okay, so this is the, I guess we've gone through most of the articles. We've got the End Times events page here pulled up, and probably won't really go through that again this week. This is something that I've touched on quite a few weeks back at this point, so we'll do that again real soon, as far as going through some of the different ways that the events may very well play out, and do seem to be somewhat playing out this way now. So this is the Substack page I've mentioned several times. So if you're not already on the list, feel free to jump on there. It's totally free, and you just drop your email address in there, or hit no thanks if you don't want to be on the email list. That's fine. Just hit no thanks, and what happens is you'll get the blog postings anyway, and the only reason I'm asking people to put their email address in there is just so I can stay in touch with you guys. That's all, because we may reach a point where that's all we have is email. I don't know. So what you do is you click no thanks, or if you're already signed up here, you'll just get this particular page, and the most recent post is here in the center. In the case of this post, it's just directing people to the broadcast tonight that we're actually in the middle of right now. And I would also mention that I'm on TikTok. I recently signed up for TikTok, and the link is here on this broadcast, and it'll be on all of the other postings that I do from here on out. But it's Diamond Disc on TikTok if you happen to be on there, and we'll look at that here in a second. But yeah, you just click on the postings that say links, and this shows you all of the links that came through right here. Article links, these are the ones that I talked about last week. So, and there's a bunch of them. So, and the videos are there as well. The videos are embedded, so you guys will hopefully find the things that you're looking for. If not, feel free to leave a comment on either here on Substack or on any of the video platforms, and I'll likely see it and respond that way, and that's totally fine. Or you guys can email me through Substack. Totally fine. So yeah, and then let's see here. This is the shop. This is the store that I mentioned. The link's in the upper right corner, shop.thediamond.report. If you guys want to support what I'm doing, I certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much to those who have, and to those who are considering it, thank you as well. So yeah, there's t-shirts available, end times dates. There's the one you see on this side right here, conspiracy analyst, which is a kind of a term that I've sort of coined or put out there. Conspiracy analyst, not conspiracy theorist. And then it's got the Diamond Report link on there listed as well. Got sweatshirts and t-shirts and hats and all kinds of stuff. So feel free to grab a mug or a coaster or whatever. There's all kinds of stuff here to pick from. So thank you guys in advance for supporting what I'm doing. And there's also a method to do that through Substack. If you want to, it is free, but if you want to support what I'm doing through that, I definitely appreciate that. And note, you have not seen very many commercials tonight. It's because this show is completely funded out of my pocket and out of your pockets as well for those who have contributed. So again, thank you very much for doing that. And let's see here. Let's just mention a couple other things. This is the Twitter page, and it's the Diamond Report on Twitter. And I just started that a few weeks ago, actually, and so I'm getting a few followers. And so if you're on Twitter, feel free to follow along there. And this is, of course, Take It to the Lord in Prayer End Times Dates on YouTube and on Rumble. And I had an issue with Rumble this week. The first issue I've had, it had nothing to do with the live stream, but in fact, it was the upload of the show from last week. For whatever reason, never did finish processing. It's actually still on my account, just sitting there processing, like it's still working really hard. It's going to be done eventually in the next 10 years or so, and it'll be there available for you to watch it. In the meantime, I re-uploaded it. I just as a test, I re-uploaded it again, and it did the same thing. So what I did was I uploaded the shorter version. That's the what I'm calling the cut down version from YouTube, the version that I will upload back to YouTube that has all of the medical misinformation, i.e. truth, taken out of it, and things like that, because we don't want to hurt YouTube's feelings. So I took that version. That's the one I usually put on YouTube as well. I put on YouTube and also put on Twitter, and I uploaded that one to Rumble, and guess what? It worked fine. So I'm not sure if that was a censorship issue, or most likely it was just a technical glitch at the moment. I will know more tomorrow when I upload this show. Hopefully it will process okay and be available to watch on Rumble, but I didn't realize that it didn't finish, and it just sat there basically all week, and no one was able to watch last week's show on Rumble. But it says new upload, but it is there now. It's just, again, it's the cut down version though. It's not the full show like what I usually upload on Rumble. But the full show is available on BitChute from last week. If you want to see it, it is there. You'll notice the time difference. The full show is 2 hours and 33 minutes. And the version that's on Rumble is 1 hour and 40 minutes. So it's way shorter. I cut a lot out. I cut pretty much all the videos out and all the good stuff. So, but that's what I end up having to re-upload back to YouTube. Otherwise, I get a strike for daring to speak and say something that YouTube doesn't like. And so I use that same version on Twitter as well, just to not cause any waves. And that's the same version that ends up on Facebook sometimes too. That's what happened last week. I was not able to upload the full version on Facebook last week. I tried it 2 or 3 different times, and it deleted my video every single time. It would upload, it would process fine on Facebook. I'd watch it and spot check it, and I even watched one all the way through, and then they deleted it. So then I uploaded this version that's the cut down, the YouTube version, the censored version, and it worked just fine. So Facebook apparently is now censoring videos. Or they might have been before, but they had not really hassled me too much with videos until really last Monday when I posted the show there, it wouldn't work. So anyway, just know that just because you find this show, it may or may not be the full show. The one that's on BitChute is always going to be the full show. So you can definitely go there. The Rumble version is normally the full show as well. Although the show from last week is not on Rumble. The other options here are Brighteon and ClickView, and those are also the full show. So you'll see the 2 hours and 33 minutes. That was the full show from last week. Same here, 2 hours and 33 minutes. So ClickView and BitChute and Brighteon are all working fine. For whatever reason, I had issues with Rumble last week. I think it was more of a technical glitch, though. I don't think it was censorship, but we'll see what happens. I'll try it again tomorrow. If I have the same issue, then we'll figure something out. But speaking of Rumble, we are live on Rumble tonight, and we've got a few people watching over there. It's always quiet, though. Not much chatting going on, so I'm not sure if that's normal for Rumble or what, but just only usually a comment or two at most. Most of the chatting is happening on YouTube and Facebook. So, but the way my system's set up here, it won't let me show the comments that happen on Rumble anyways on the screen. So I'll leave it up to you guys to go there and have a look. But yeah, it's Diamond Disc on Rumble and most of those other places, including TikTok. And I can try and pull that up here and see. Let's just see what happens. I don't really use the TikTok app, so I was getting some strange things happening when I tried to just use the website. So let me see what happens when I pull it up here. Yeah, I came up. So it is working. I'm not logged in. I think if I log in to my TikTok account, I think it will, the videos won't show up anymore. That's what I've noticed. But I think it's because I'm not using the app. I'm just using the website. I think that's what's going on there. And I'm not a TikTok fan at all. I'm just trying to reach a few more people and figuring that is where the youngsters are. So if I can reach a kid or two, I think that's not a bad thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's actually 11 videos from the show from last week. Each one's 10 minutes or so long. And that's how you have to do it on TikTok, because they only allow a 10-minute video or less. So I've divided it up into 11 10-minute pieces. And again, that is the cut down version, same one that you would find on some of the other places I mentioned, like YouTube. So apparently they've deleted one of my videos, though, because there's only 10 now. So I don't know. So I'm getting a few views on there as well. So if you're on TikTok, feel free to follow on there. And if you're not on TikTok, I don't blame you. I wouldn't be normally either, but I thought I would give it a try and see what it was like. And I think they've deleted one of my videos, so I'm not really sure how long I'll be allowed to stay on there. Who knows? And then here is my diamonddiscaudio.com. This is my daytime gig. This particular page is just the video production page. This is the home page here. So this is what I do day to day, just mixing and mastering and music placement and graphic design and building websites and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So that's kind of my normal day gig that I do. So I certainly appreciate any referrals you guys can give me, because that definitely helps keep the lights on. So, and I've got lights around here, so you can see some decent lighting here. So, but yes, so thanks in advance for any work or friends that you send my way. Certainly appreciate it. I'm involved in many different music-related things. So if you have friends or family who are in bands or singers or musicians or whatever, send them my way. I'd love to talk to them. So, but what I do is mastering and mixing work in particular, and then also music placement. So if you have a really great song, I might be able to find a place for that really great song in an independent film, or in a commercial, or in a trailer, or in a video game, or there's so many different options out there for really great music. I should put that little stipulation on there. It's got to be great. So anyway, yeah, that's my day gig. So feel free to put me in contact with whomever, if you've got friends or family, like I said, that are musicians or whatever. So that would be cool. So anyways, yeah, let's take a look at your comments, and then I guess we could wrap it up for the night. It's 11:45 here. It feels a lot like 10:45 to me. So yeah. So let's see what you guys are saying. Susan says, thank you once again for bringing us together to stay in step with the truth of our time here. Greetings and blessings, friends here. Yes. Now I have to stay up until 11, Kelly says. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. I know. I don't really like this time change thing. I don't think anybody does. But you Eastern guys are even later. I don't know if anybody on the East Coast is even watching in the Eastern time zone. If you're on the Eastern time zone right now, just hit a bunch of ones so I know that you're in the Eastern time zone. But yeah, most people I hear from are Western folks, and also a few Central folks, but yeah, not too many Eastern. I usually get complaints from the Eastern time zone people. Why is it so late? Again, I said before, and it's very true, I am a very, very slow speed reader, but I'm speed reading through this. Oh yeah, there's some ones. Okay, I see some. Susan's Eastern time zone, yep. Yeah, okay, and then she's also saying, ask Doug about being a liaison to orchestrate that, meaning a way to connect a little bit more personally. Yeah, so this is something that I know Susan has mentioned, and maybe another person or two, but not real recently. So if that's something you guys want to do, let me know. What we could do is, and everybody hates Facebook, so we won't do Facebook. What we'll do is probably Band, because Band doesn't censor anything from anywhere. I've never heard of Band ever censoring anything. So what we could do is if you guys are interested in having a group where you guys can communicate off of these live streams, so separate from me, and yet maybe people that have come into the fold through this show and then want to go in and share information with others. Remember, I don't censor anybody, so because I'm so heavily censored, I'm not going to do that to you guys. So if you guys want me to start a band group, I can definitely do that. I'm already on band, and many of you guys who are followers, subscribers to Anthony Patch are already on band. So I think that would be the obvious thing to do. So let me know if you guys want to do that. I can set that up, and you guys can communicate that way, and that would give us another mechanism that would be censorship free, and you could get on there and share information, pictures, links, videos, things like that. So any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's see what you guys say about that. Centaurs were real creatures. They're in the Bible. Emily says, I totally agree. And I don't know if that was a real skeleton that we saw earlier. If you missed it, you can go back and watch it, or just wait for tomorrow. Probably it would be best. Centaurs were real. Yeah, I think they were some of the hybrid creatures that were created that existed but weren't supposed to exist. Yeah, part of the genetic mess that caused God to have to flush the earth. Yep, flush the toilet. He did. They were circling the drain. So where is Crystal and Mark? I don't know. They're not here, huh? Crystal and Mark, you've been asked about. So hopefully you're okay. Regarding Centaur, this is from Mushi. I was just commenting recently about how many new discoveries are conveniently being dug up. Smells like fishy cover stories to prep for bigger deception. You may be right. And the article that I read had the very recent date of 2015. Why it just came out now, I have no idea. I'd never seen that photo, so I mean, it could very well be a Photoshop situation where it's not true and it just looks real. I mean, some of the giant photos and stuff are fake, but that doesn't mean that the story of giants are fake. It's totally real. It's just that some people have decided to make fake photos, which all that does is disprove what you're trying to prove. So I don't get that. I don't know why people do that. It's called lying. So, yeah, I think they did. Centaurs and chimeras, even GMO food, hence the plants, the DNA manipulation. As in the day of Noah, so shall it be. And why everything had to be destroyed back then. Nothing new under the sun. Summer, you're exactly right. Yep. Betty says, bummer, just found you. Looked earlier, but didn't see any early reminder like usual. You know what? I probably didn't put one on Facebook. My apologies, Betty. I will try and remember to do that. I put it out on my... now, if you're on the Substack, you probably got an email about it because I put that out at noon. I had scheduled that ahead of time, and it went out at noon today. So if you're not on the Substack, that's a good reason to be on there. Then you'll know for sure that I'm going to be doing the broadcast. I'm planning to do the broadcast every Sunday night at 10 p.m. Central Time, and generally I will let you know if I'm not doing it. So I would say it's a standing invite. You guys are always invited to be here, and just know that I will certainly let you know if I can't make it. We have just passed the 2-year mark on this show. So that happened on November the 1st. I went back and looked. Not sure how many episodes that would be, but I guess it would be, 104 or something like that. Because we've done, well, it's probably more than that, because there have been a few times where I've done extra videos, extra shows here. But yeah, 2-year anniversary of this show was November the 1st. So November 1st, 2021 is when I did my first broadcast on the Diamond Report Live. And I had done other versions of this show years and years ago, going back to 2017, actually. But it wasn't exactly like this. I did them as uploads. They weren't done as live streams. Genesis 6 Conspiracy is a fantastic book, Emily says. Yes, it's also a very large book. If you need a good read, get Genesis 6 Conspiracy. And if you need a good boat anchor, you can also get Genesis 6 Conspiracy, because it's very heavy. It's rather large. Yeah, I've been following Gary Wayne for years. Yeah, I think Anthony Patch interviewed Gary Wayne quite a few years ago, maybe 2018 or something, because that's a webinar that's on AnthonyPatch.com. If you're a subscriber on there already, look in the webinars on there, and you'll find the interview that he did with Gary Wayne. I think it's a pretty long one, several hours. Goes with the hundreds and hundreds of page book he had. But I think it's the same book, if I remember right. I've been following Gary Wayne for years. That's why God created the flood, to take out the giant bloodlines, and because of all of the DNA manipulation of all creatures. And the same with how God told the Israelites to wipe them out. Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain earlier. I think people who pay just a little bit of attention see that, and they say, see, the God of the Bible just wants to kill everybody who's not on his team. No, that's not really the case. It's just the Nephilim, you see. Cowboy says he's a musician. Yes. Well, have a look at my website. Yeah. Love to do some work with you, Cowboy. I mean, I do mastering and mixing work, so unless you're involved in recording, I don't know if I could help you, but just know that it is there if you're interested. Are you on Telegram? Yes, Mushi, I am on Telegram, if you're talking to me. I normally have it pulled up here, but I guess I don't have it pulled up today. But yeah, it's you can look for the Diamond Report on Telegram, or End Times Dates on Telegram, or maybe you're asking someone else. But yeah, I'm on Telegram. Matter of fact, I've done some live streams to Telegram. I know it works. I just don't do it very often. JC gave me some ones, so he's in the Eastern time zone. So yeah, it's getting late there, huh? Marty, and 10 p.m. is just right for musicians. Yeah, Marty, that's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, 10 p.m. Kind of a night owl. I have been for many years. A Diamond Band group would be awesome, Emily says. Okay, well, let's do that. Let's do that. Are you on Telegram? Thank you for another good report. Yeah, Mushi, I'm on Telegram. So I'll send you the links on Facebook, but it's just go on there and do a search for the Diamond Report, and also End Times Dates. I have 2 different Telegram channels, and yeah, I actively post stuff on there. It's usually just links to the shows that I've done, but I occasionally will do other stuff as well. So yeah, okay. So I guess the consensus here is we should do a Diamond Report band group. So let's do that. Doug's not kidding. It's a huge book. Yeah, worth the read. Cowboy says, just got the Josiah Manifesto by Jonathan Cahn. Okay. Well, let us know how that is. I guess that's the end. I think that's the end of the comments. So thanks, you guys. Cool. Yeah, so we'll do a Diamond Report band group. I'll get that set up. And what I'll do is I'll list it and link to it. Once it's set up, I'll link to it on Substack. So I don't know if I'll do a special mailing. I don't want to email out to people too often, because people will get mad at me and unsubscribe if they get too many emails. You know how that goes. But yeah, I'll set up the band group. Won't take too long, and we'll put it out that way. I'll also mention it on Facebook and some other places. Probably put it out as a YouTube post. I don't get in trouble on YouTube posts. I do get in trouble on YouTube videos, but not posts, really. The text-based posts that you can do on YouTube, kind of cool. And I'll put it out on Twitter and a few other places. So what we'll do is it'll just be open into the public kind of thing. I mean, it won't just be there's not really subscribers here. It's just you guys are here because you enjoy each other's company, and I guess you don't mind me talking over the top of that. So yeah, it'll just be a public group, so anybody can join. And trolls, of course, will get banned to planet Uranus as soon as possible. Now, trolls we won't put up with, but you know, I've kind of figured out over the years how to deal with them, just having worked with Dane Wigington for so long. Trolls it's sort of a funny yet sad situation. So if we have any trolls, first we'll make fun of them to no end, and then we'll get rid of them. That's how we work around here. So anyway, yeah, so we'll do the band group, so look forward to that. And otherwise, I guess we can wrap it up. Let me see if I've got any videos we could close with tonight. I've got one with AJ talking in it, so I guess we could show that if you don't mind. I know some people don't like AJ, but let's do this one instead, actually. This one is called The Time Is Now, and it's just a short video of David Icke talking about the Israel-Palestinian conflict and how far back that goes, and just shedding more truth on it. And I think David does some incredible work. Yes, there's some things that he says that I don't necessarily buy into. Yes, he's a bit new agey. Yes, he's not exactly friendly to what we would consider Jesus in the gospel. I mean, as far as what he said in the past, although I've not really heard him say anything recently in a negative sense, but I haven't heard everything he said, though, either. I'm not really a subscriber or anything. I just happened to find some of his videos on Band.video and watch him on there. And I do know that he says some pretty amazing stuff and some amazing truth nuggets as well. So anyway, let's watch this. It's called Iconic Revelations. The time is now. And I guess we will wrap it up, and we'll see you guys again back here next week. Hope you guys have a blessed week. Hopefully we'll be just fine again this week, just like we were last week. And who knows what's going to happen with this whole Israel and Hamas thing. I do think that it's getting ready to light it up. It sounds like they're getting ready to start something. But, we kind of expect that at this point. So it's just a matter of when, right? So God bless you all, and hope you guys have a really great week, and we'll talk to you again very soon.